Hey everybody, my name is Joshua Eaton and welcome to Unimatrix Zero. This video is going to be unedited. There will be no intro, no outro. It's just raw me on my phone. A lot of these videos I might be in the car, I might be driving down the highway, I might be on a destination to do something. I could be walking outside with my gimbal. I could be standing in the forest. You know, it's pretty much, I have an idea, I need to work it out, or, you know, there's something that I want to make a video about without being like at home sitting at my desk, or, you know, whatever environment I end up making these videos in. So I guess this will serve as a bit of a introduction. Now, initially, Unimatrix Zero was the base concept for a new company or a nonprofit or a group or a think tank or something that was going to be used to put research into different technologies, research into different methods of doing things, you know, working on different development projects, or developing tools to do some really cool stuff. And that's kind of where it might still lead. But I thought about this a lot, and I said, well, I can do that stuff and I can publish my papers on the Substack, right? I can write everything that I want to write and talk about the projects and share it on the Substack, because I don't think YouTube or Rumble or whatever platforms I'm publishing these videos on, I don't think they're going to be I don't think they're going to be an appropriate platform for researching and developing these different technologies and different concepts. Maybe to have discussions about it, but not necessarily getting into the technical stuff, you know what I mean? Because, you know, I don't want to spend hours and hours and hours editing video to put up, you know, spreadsheets or graphs to talk about a housing project that I'm looking into. I think the time could be better spent on other things. So how did I get here? And how did I get involved in AI? And how did I kind of like find myself in the position that I am? Well, a number of years ago, back in 2023, a former friend of mine approached me needing help, and being the type of person I am, I was like, yeah, sure, I'll help you out. And eventually I had to tell my friend, listen, I can't do this for free. You know, I can't do work for your employer for free and not get anything for it. And I started thinking about what was going on, and I said, you know, it would be easier to start a new company and fix all of these issues, you know, build a system where these issues are resolved from the ground up. And I didn't know anything about the industry. I didn't know anything about what I was getting myself into. And that's probably part of the reason why I am where I am right now. And over that time, I began to get extremely irritated, because all of these things, all of this math was all being done with calculators. It was all being done on pieces of paper. It was all being done manually, and I'm like, why are we wasting so much time? And it brought me all the way back to when I was in China, and all of the marking and grading systems for the students were all on paper, and you would have stacks of paperwork. And I thought to myself, why don't we digitize this? So I used my knowledge that I have from my office training, and I started creating these formulas in Excel to turn letter grades into numerical values that we could use to create the percentages, and actually start calculating, allow the teachers at the university to do automated calculations. I spent an entire weekend developing a series of formulas, condensing and improving it to make it better. Eventually, we had a series of intelligent spreadsheets that would allow the teachers and other staff at the university to calculate students' grades, merge students' grades, in an instant using intelligent Excel spreadsheets. So I took what I learned and I took my other advanced studies and I got out my textbooks and stuff, you know, and my upgraded textbooks for Excel. And I started saying, okay, well, we have to know what all of these things are for this business. And this is what led to something called the God File, which actually started this, Helios Cloud Services. Eventually, my friend was like, listen, I want to build a file that does all of this. And I told him, I said, you're insane. It's going to take a long time. Oh no, it'll take, you know, it'll take a couple of days at most. We'll have it done by the end of the week. It was 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, for months on end, trying to build this thing to make it work. I myself have spent probably 800 hours by myself into building the God File. Let me see here. I've brought in at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. So I myself spent about 800 hours on it, and then I brought consultations in from about 8 or 9 other people. And it became something that was just, we were building a intelligent system to go and do all of this work. Eventually we hit a wall with Excel, and we started getting too many logic errors. I couldn't figure out the equations. The algebra, you know, the commands and the algebra was getting too complicated, right? Like, I mean, I'm dealing with people who are experts in data analytics, accounting, you know, people who build custom Excel processors for all of these companies. You know, even people who understand how the math is supposed to work, we're just running into logic errors. We can't figure it out. And that's where we started bringing in, I believe it was GPT-3 at the time, to try and, you know, hey, here's the formula that we have. The formula is broken. Can you help us reprocess the formula? Can you help us fix it? This is the problem that we have. We need to fix it. And what happened was, I realized that we're not going to be able to do that. There has to be a better way. I mean, one of our spreadsheets that we were putting into it, my accountant at the time, Cora, she was a fresh graduate from Acadia, and she worked with my wife, who is a senior accountant at a local firm and is on the CPA track, as well as her manager gave some input on it, to create a custom calculator that works with the government of Canada and Canada Revenue to create, to do lots of things with tax credits and tax incentives and tax deductions. This calculator, we were praised by people from the CRA, from the government of Canada, even major banks. Like, one of the senior representatives at CIBC was like, I have never seen something like this. This is ridiculously complex. How did you people build this? And it's like, I don't know. We just kind of like sat there and said, we need to figure this out. Eventually, you know, when GPT-4 came out, and now there's GPT 5.2. So, you know, we started enhancing things using AI to make the formulas better. And then, you know, we had 2 extra fellers that we brought on to start coding it. And what we eventually created was a AI-powered cloud platform called Helios, working with renewable energy and stuff like that. Helios, the human personification of the sun, it fit. Helios Cloud Services was supposed to be an AI-powered cloud-based solution that would take essentially 2 weeks worth of manual work and automate the entire process to bring it into something that, with a human QA agent doing it, would take about 45 minutes to an hour, which was streamlining the entire thing. Eventually, we lost funding, and I had to shelve the product. You know, we still have the code base and stuff like that, although because of the changes in the AI platform, like now there's GPT 5.2, so we're going to have to do like an entire API rewrite. Grok has also come a long way. There's rumors of GPT 6 coming out, I think this spring or early in 2026 sometime. You know, so we're going to have to do a basic rewrite anyway. That and the concept and the scope has grown so much. Solar and renewable energy, we can do with that. Heat pump suppliers, roofing contractors. The software is capable of being adapted to cover a wide variety of things. And that's kind of what happened. We had our focus, but we kept building all of these extra tools to automate all of these other processes. And that's kind of what happened, right? Like we were building Helios to use AI technology through the cloud, so that way my consultants, no matter where they were, could be at a client's home, submit all the reports, have everything done and processed, and back to them within 45 minutes to an hour. So you could go to a client's home, say, hey, we're going to do a site inspection. We'll do it. When our site inspection's done, we should have an answer for you and everything done within 45 minutes to an hour. I would probably say, hey, within 24 hours, we'll have it back, just to be safe. A process that by hand would take like 2 weeks. Automating basically everything. Digitizing basically everything. But that wasn't the only project. I started getting involved in that's not the only thing. Like part of Helios was a research agent, which now using GPT Pro, you have access to Operator. Operator, an amazing tool. I wish I could still afford to run it. If anybody wants to pay the $200 US so I can have access to it again, that would be great. With the deep thinking and the deep processing, we were building a research tool, an AI-powered add-on for Helios. Originally, it was based on Mapletron, and I'll get into that maybe in another video. But we were building a research tool that would connect to the Canadian Electrical Code, for example. So instead of needing to have the book or, you know, either digital or hard copy, you could simply say, hey, here's my question. What does the electrical code say about this subject? Like, what does it say about the labeling that's needed on electrical panels when you're installing solar? What's the color? What's the dimension? What's the material? What's the size of font? And what it would do is it would scour the electrical code that it had entirely indexed. And we did this. We had a perfectly working model that had the entire Canadian electrical code in it. And you could query any questions you had about the code and it would give you an answer. Not only would it give you an answer, but it would directly quote the portions of the code itself and tell you exactly what page of the code book it was on. Research tools like this are absolutely amazing. And that was like kind of the general concept behind Mapletron. Now, Mapletron was a utility where we would take bills from the government of Canada or the Senate. So you would put bills in the code, and what would happen is Mapletron would read and index the bill. Regular users would be able to come to the website and submit a query. if we could work out like an app or a paid model for it where you could subscribe to it, that would be infinitely better. But using the deep research model, which I've been testing on GPT 5.2, it's so much faster and so much more efficient. It gives better answers and it gives better references. So building an updated model, definitely good. But what it would do is it would read the bill and do kind of the same thing for the electrical code. But it would also bring in other aspects. We would load up all of these different codes and documents through the government of Canada so people could understand what they actually meant, right? So that way people could be like, oh, well, I want to know, how does this bill that they're proposing affect a certain part of the Criminal Code of Canada? What could the implications on this be? And what it would do is it would tell you, well, here's what it does. Here's some of the implications. You might want to consult a legal expert because this is not legal advice. But it would do a number of things like that to simply help people. It would help people understand things. And one of the other models we were looking at is the ability to translate government speak into plain language where people could understand things. And it would break the complicated government legislation down to a part where people could be, okay, I actually understand what this means. I understand what the bill means. This is amazing. I can now get a government bill and read it and understand what the government of Canada is talking about. And that's kind of where things are. Now I'm taking this AI class from the Alberta Machine Intelligence Institute, and I'm learning a lot about some different aspects of AI and AI usage. A lot of this stuff, some of the tech that they're talking about, I've been using it since the 90s. If you use Photoshop, you've done some of this AI generation. If you've used a filter on your phone, you know, it's powered by AI, you know. It's really exciting what's going on. It's really exciting what I've been building. So Unimatrix Zero is going to talk about all of this stuff. We're going to have real discussions on things that I'm discovering, things that I'm learning. I want to open up the floor to other people that maybe want to come on and have conversations about this stuff. We're looking at things as they change. We're also going to be talking about how AI affects people's jobs. We're going to be talking about what jobs will be eliminated. We're going to be talking about a lot of things. But we're also going to be researching things to do with implications of new solar technology to help with agriculture due to the drought we had here in Nova Scotia over this summer. We're going to be talking about electric vehicles. I mean, I drive an old Tesla. This is a 2017. She has issues. She's a little worse for wear. You know, she needs some repairs. She's getting old. We're going to be talking about some of the EV stuff, debunking some myths about them. You know, I'm going to be looking into housing projects. I've been looking at, cost-effective housing technologies and where to build them, and looking at government programs and, all of this different stuff. So Unimatrix Zero is not going to be me babbling on about technology or AI. It's going to be a place where we can talk about different projects. We can look at how these things affect everybody on a regular basis. We're going to be examining it and talking about it. And personally, I'm really looking forward to it. This is part of my healing. This is what I need to do. My psychiatrist said that I need to be creative. My psychiatrist said that I need to find my passion. My friend Sheldon has been pushing me to find my passion. My friend Jenna has been pushing me to find my passion again. A number of people have been pushing me to find my passion, to save what is me. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, and tech nerds from around the world, this is Unimatrix Zero.